Musicians play for cows to see if music affects the amount of milk they produce, 1930. Just freed prisoners from a Nazi camp queuing for food. Native American Sachin Little Feather refuses the Oscar Award, 1973. In the category of Best Actor, Marlon Brando won for his role in The Godfather. However, he refused to attend the ceremony, and instead, a Native American woman took the stage. She addressed the audience saying, "Marlon regrets not being able to attend, but he refuses the award due to the terrible treatment of Native Americans in the U.S." The Football War, 1969. A 6-day military conflict between El Salvador and Honduras. The pretext for the war was the loss of the Honduran team to the Salvadoran team in the playoff matches of the World Cup qualifying stage. Josephine Garris Cochrane, the woman who invented the dishwasher, early 20th century. Engineer plugging in one of the first computers, 1958. Bells from Buddhist temples in Kanazawa were confiscated to be melted down for military purposes. Japanese Empire, 1942. A grim memorial to the victims of the Buchenwald concentration camp. Death trains with prisoners traveled on these rails, Germany. The day of the assassination attempt. Archduke Ferdinand and his wife, Duchess Sophie of Hohenberg, June 28, 1914. The Republic of South Africa is the world leader in the number of rapes. Every fourth man in this country is a rapist. A woman born in South Africa is more likely to be raped than to learn to read. In China, the death penalty was often carried out by shooting at close range from behind. Afterward, the relatives of the executed would receive a bill for 9 yuan, the cost of 1 bullet. If the person had no relatives, they would work in prison for a while to earn the money for the bullet. A champagne inspector with a special mask to protect from accidental bottle explosions, California, USA, 1933. During the bombing of Yugoslavia, 1999. Experiment at Tbilisi Oncology Institute, 1967. Horse-shaped device used to hold children still during X-rays, mid-20th century. A woman with a portrait of her son greets the last train with former German prisoners of war from the USSR, 1955. The photo shows everything that remained of a person who was sitting on the steps 250 meters from the nuclear explosion. Hiroshima, August 6, 1945. French women accused of collaborating with the Germans are paraded through the streets. It seems they are also being forced to give the Hitler salute, World War II. German man accused of associating with a Jewish woman. I am a defiler of the race. Germany, 1935. Babies who lost their parents during the Vietnam War are airlifted to the USA for adoption, 1975. Scientists testing a diaper-changing invention. 3 Jewish men, all of whom survived the Auschwitz concentration camp and were liberated on the same day, reunite 73 years later. Photo from 2019. Julius Dack at the Chicago police station, 1906. The criminal, disguised as a woman, was hiding from the police, but it seems he still made a mistake somewhere. Monks from Asakusa Temple prepare for the Sino-Japanese War, Japan, 1936. A woman uses a special bandage to fight depression. Budapest, 1937. A girl tries to cut a sunbeam. 1886. Sale of dinosaur footprints, extracted from limestone in the Paluxy Riverbed, Texas, 1954. In the 1950s, New York had tunnel police. The meeting of a KKK member's child and a black state trooper, 1992. Village wedding, 1913. Incredibly happy faces. Disabled activists leave their wheelchairs and crawl up the 83 steps of the U.S. Capitol, demanding the passage of disability rights legislation. March 12, 1990. In 19th century Europe, a wife could be sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment of hysteria for the following reasons. If a woman argues with her husband and has a different opinion, if a woman reads a lot, if a woman is dissatisfied with her marriage, if a woman refuses her husband, if a woman is deeply interested in science, if a woman doesn't want to have children. A cat runs across the street. During a street battle in Beirut, Lebanon, 1980s. A bear drawn by the smell of baking rolls in the oven. Russia, Cape Schmidt, 1997. A hippie wedding, 1965. Scientists from the University of Michigan conduct an experiment on themselves to study the effect of alcohol on the human body. Photos from 1949. British women working in munitions factories were nicknamed canaries because TNT exposure turned their skin yellow. This toxic work caused severe liver damage, yet they produced 80% of the UK's WWI weaponry. Judge of an ankle competition organized by the women's section of the British Railways Social Club at Oxford, 1949. This legendary photo is insane. The girl is Chinese partisan Cheng Benhua. The men are Japanese soldiers. The night before, they raped Cheng, and immediately after the photo session, they stabbed her with bayonets. Cheng Benhua became a symbol of China's resistance to Japanese aggression and a model of endurance and astonishing courage for the whole world. World Championship of Sitting on a Pole, Netherlands, 1971. The photo shows electricians Randall Champion and J.D. Thompson. They were conducting repair work when Randall was struck by an electric shock. More than 4,000 volts passed through his body, instantly stopping his heart. Thompson rushed to help and performed CPR. Randall's life was saved. Black prisoners served disciplinary punishment, USA, 1937. The 1960s were a time of struggle for racial equality in the USA. African Americans, like Reverend Joe Carter, faced violence and threats from the Ku Klux Klan. In the photo, he calmly waits for them at his home. Swedish soldiers prepare arrested Germans and Baltics for extradition to the USSR. These were soldiers from the Third Reich who fled to this country after World War II. Halloween at an American school, 1980s. A celebration marking the official repeal of Prohibition, USA, 1933. They each drank only one glass of beer, Belgium, 1971. Hitler Youth forces Jews to wash the streets, Vienna, 1938. In 1913, 19-year-old student Terry Williams invented mascara by mixing soot with Vaseline. In New Jersey, male toplessness was banned until 1937 on the grounds that locals didn't want to see gorillas on the beaches. The 1986 conflict between Chad and Libya is known as the Toyota War. Chad's troops were outgunned, but won because France sent them 400 Toyota pickups, mounted with machine guns and anti-tank missiles. A dead miner's canary, 1875. Canaries were brought into mines because they were the first to react to methane leaks, warning miners of danger. A penguin concert during Shackleton's expedition. Ross Ice Shelf, Antarctica, summer 1908. The paradox was that the penguins only reacted to classical music. 1900s jazz did not interest them. The birds reacted most keenly to the violin. Professional mourner, Russian Empire, Estonia, 1912. In traditional funeral rites, she was hired to lament for the deceased. Ian McKellen and Christopher Lee backstage at The Lord of the Rings, 2001. Pacific Islanders examine a F-4U aircraft. Initially, the military was mistaken for gods, 1943. A rare photo of North Korean leader Kim Il-sung showing a tumor on his neck. Photographers were prohibited from photographing the right side of his face. Late 1980s. A 6-person bicycle racing against a train. In 1896, man often tried to compete with the dawning era of machines. Protests at the Miss America pageant, 1969. The sign, "All women are beautiful," challenges societal beauty standards. George Dyler, beer drinking champion. He consumed a pint in 4 seconds. United Kingdom, 1954. During World War II, the Soviet Army trained suicide dogs to destroy enemy tanks. Starving dogs were taught that food could be found under a mock-up of a combat vehicle. Fingerprints became a method of identification after 2 people named Will West were convicted of the same crime in Kansas. They looked exactly the same, but only fingerprints helped determine who was guilty. During World War II, the Soviet Army trained suicide dogs intended to destroy enemy tanks. Hungry dogs were trained to find food under mock tanks. In combat, the dogs were strapped with explosives and sent under approaching tanks, where they were supposed to die. Ans van Dijk before the Special Court in Amsterdam, February 1947. Dutch collaborator who handed Jews over to the Nazis during World War II. She was the only woman in the Netherlands sentenced to death for collaborating with the occupiers. In 1730, French pirate Olivier Levasseur was sentenced to the gallows. Before his execution, he unexpectedly threw a note with a cryptogram into the crowd, shouting, "Find my treasures if you can." The treasure has never been found. In 1871, American lawyer Clement Vallandigham was defending a man accused of murder after a bar fight. He built the defense on the idea that the victim accidentally shot himself while pulling out a pistol from his pocket in an awkward position. Vallandigham wanted to demonstrate this by placing a gun, which he believed was unloaded, in his own pocket. As he pulled it out, he accidentally shot himself. He died from the wound, and his client was acquitted. Thousands of Iranian women take to the streets of Tehran for a mass demonstration against the new revolutionary religious government and the mandatory hijab, March 1979. Fresno College students attempting to set a new world record for the most people on one bed, 73 people, 1961. In 1979, Brazil's military president João Figueiredo reached out to a 5-year-old girl for a propaganda photo op, but she refused. The shot became an iconic symbol of resistance against the dictatorship. A Saro tribe member in traditional mask, Papua New Guinea, 1969. What X-rays looked like in the 1900s. Dar Robinson jumps from a 7-story building to demonstrate a new rescue device, an inflatable bag designed to save people from fires, 1974. Rich women ignoring a poor woman, illustrating social inequality in the USA, 1943. An awkward moment caught on camera, Germany, 1930s. A hysterical patient, 1893. This used to be called madness of the womb. Baby races, popular sports competitions in New Jersey from 1946 to 1955. License to practice prostitution, Great Britain, 1876. Once, the roof of an Aloha Airlines first-class cabin tore off at an altitude of 7,800 meters. The pilot managed an emergency landing. 94 of the 95 people on board survived. The body of the flight attendant who was sucked out was never found, 1988. Napoleon, the mascot of the French artillery during the Battle of Verdun, France. World War I, 1916. Anal plugs for treating headaches and colds. In the 19th century, a doctor might prescribe a set of rubber plugs for your runny nose. Teaching Papuans how to use condoms. Papua, Indonesia, 1960s. 11-year-old Grace Bedell from Westfield, New York, wrote to Lincoln, advising him to grow a beard to look more appealing and win a bet, which her brothers promised to vote for him if he did. In 1930, a terrifying discovery was made. It was a device with a skull inside, which mimicked the contours of a human body. This was how bandits, pirates, and murderers were executed. They were hung for display until they died. Adolf Eichmann walks in the courtyard of his cell at Ramla Prison, 1961, Israel. Adolf Eichmann was one of the main organizers of the Holocaust. Relatives wish each other Merry Christmas through the Berlin Wall in 1961. Rwanda, 1994. Bloody footprints stain the ground where people tried to climb walls to escape the massacre. A powerful shot by Annie Leibovitz. Soldiers fall, income rises. Poster from the USSR, 1968. Child gas mask, England, 1938. The pear of anguish was invented in the 16th century and used to punish women for adultery and abortions. It was inserted into the intimate area, and the screw was turned, causing infernal torment. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon calling their moms after winning the Oscar for Good Will Hunting, 1997. King Alexander I of Yugoslavia refused to participate in any public events on Tuesdays, as 3 members of his family died on that day of the week. Eventually, he decided to put an end to this silly superstition. On one Tuesday, he made an official visit to Marseille and was shot by a terrorist. School, Papua New Guinea, 1990. The Witch's Throne, a torture device for women accused of witchcraft. It is a chair with spikes and a heated seat. In 1693, Marina Vukanek spent 11 days on it. She went mad and died without confessing guilt. Inflatable bra, 1950. In the 19th century, ketchup was sold as an effective remedy for rheumatism, diarrhea, and eczema. This made some sense, as lycopene in tomatoes is beneficial, though not a cure-all, and it helps some due to its properties. A cigarette butt collector, Paris, 1905. The librarian of the National Library of Calcutta divides books between India and Pakistan after the partition in 1947. In ancient Greece, particularly in Thebes, homosexuality was not considered shameful. An elite unit of 300 men, lovers of each other, was formed, called the Sacred Band of Thebes. In 338 B.C.E., the entire unit perished in the Battle of Cheronea. In the 1920s, Beijing, there were so many horse-drawn carriages and rickshaws that desperate authorities tightened the punishment for speeding. This man was unlucky. Chinese traffic police put a board on him to wear for a week to think about traffic rules. Mike Tyson in glamorous pink handcuffs goes to prison for drug possession and drunk driving, 2008. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.